Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, continuing our NFL draft coverage. And today, shifting gears over to the NFC, where we will take a look at the biggest draft needs for every team within the conference. Today, we'll focus more on the NFC North and the NFC South, and then later we'll shift gears to the East and the West before we, of course, continue coverage on Friday and well into next week. But I want to go ahead and start over in the NFC South. In the NFC South, where the Panthers, out of those two divisions, the Panthers have the highest pick. They have the 8th overall pick in this year's draft. And, the Panthers were looking to be big spenders in free agency. It looked like getting Milton Williams from the Eagles was a done deal. It looked like it was done. And then the Patriots came in at the last minute, stole Milton Williams away from Carolina, and the rest is history. So it's clear that the Panthers want some help up front on the defensive line. They want to continue to reinforce some strength on the defensive side of the ball. So I would definitely say the defensive line is probably the biggest draft need for the Panthers. But you could also look at it and say, hey, we need some help for Bryce Young. They still believe Bryce Young can be their guy in Carolina, but he's going to need some more weapons as well with a pretty much unproven and younger wide receiver core. This Panthers team is better than you think, too. I know they were really, really bad last year, going 5-12, but they had 3 one-possession losses in their final 7 games. And those losses came to the Chiefs, the Bucs, and the Eagles. So they played some of the top teams in the league very, very close to winning those games. You win all 3, you're an 8-win team, and in the weak South Division, could have been floating with a playoff spot. So the Panthers are closer than you realize if they can reinforce that defense and Bryce Young continues to take a next step. The Saints, right after them, in at number 9. Keep in mind, all 4 teams in the NFC South picking within the top 20. So this is one of the weakest divisions in the National Football League and will continue to be so until these teams can bolster some talent. The Saints, as we mentioned, are number 9, and they're a weird team this year because you wouldn't have thought they'd go quarterback maybe a couple weeks ago. But now with the news of Derek Carr maybe not playing and being hurt and banged up and all this weird stuff happening down in New Orleans, you could see the Saints go quarterback. And if they do, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? And the question is, if it is, will he still be there at number 9? Right? You could see the Browns maybe take him as early as number 2. A lot of teams after the Browns don't appear to be in desperate need of a quarterback. So would this be a situation where the Saints maybe trade up to make sure they get their guy, hope that Sanders falls down to them, or do they just say, you know what, we're not going to go quarterback this year, almost we're going to tank it away. First-year head coach Kellen Moore inheriting a very bad situation. If they don't go quarterback, maybe you add some cornerback help. That's something that they desperately need. Maybe you add some wide receiver help. A guy like Tedero McMillan could still be around at number 9. Get some young players in there to help your future quarterback that you could draft next year or maybe land in free agency. So the Saints are in a weird spot right now. I don't know if there's a specific area they're going to lean. It could be best available, could be desperate need for a quarterback, but this quarterback draft class is so weak. If I'm the Saints, I'm avoiding a quarterback this year, drafting some young talent on either side of the ball, probably go best available, and then look forward to next year because I do expect this year to be very rough for them. The Falcons in at number 15. They are the 15th overall pick. They are believing in Michael Penix, right? Kind of shocked everybody last year. They signed Kirk Cousins to the major contract in the draft, steal Michael Penix early. Everybody was very shocked by that. No one thought that was going to happen. Cousins struggled. Penix came in, played relatively well, all things considered. But this is the Falcons team that desperately needs playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. We've been hearing that for years and years and years, how they've got to get better at rushing the passer. And they have struggled at that for such a long time. They did add Leonard Floyd, which is great for them, but they're going to need more. This is going to be a draft that I think the Falcons focus primarily on defense, maybe add a few minor offensive pieces here and there, but the defense is going to be their main source, finding a way to create more pressure, create more turnovers, and help out their young quarterback. The Bucs, best team in the division as of right now, 19th overall pick, made the playoffs. Again, 2 years ago, went to the divisional round, nearly beat the Lions. Last year, win the division, go and lose to the Commanders in the opening round, one of the best playoff games of last season. The offense is looking good, right? Baker Mayfield, of course, returns. They still have Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, people thought might leave Tampa Bay, but he came back. So they've got a pretty good core there. Good pass catchers, good running game, good quarterback. The defense, kind of like the Falcons, remains the focus for Tampa Bay. Yes, they went out and added Hassan Reddick. That's great for them, but one player is not going to change everything for you. You've got to find a way to maybe get some cornerback help or an edge rusher. Again, kind of like the Falcons. Find a way to get more pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. Find a way to get more turnovers. The Bucs have more questions on defense than they do on offense, and that's why this is going to be, to me, a defensive-heavy draft for them. So interesting moves down in Tampa Bay, but a lot of teams in the NFC South seemingly having the same issues. A lot of these teams we expect to go heavy on defense. The only anomaly and outlier is whatever the heck the Saints are going to do at number 9. Over in the NFC North, one of the best divisions in football this last year, the Bears had the earliest pick, number 10. So another top 10 pick for the Bears, and they have a lot of excitement with Ben Johnson coming in. The offensive coordinator for the Lions was probably the hottest coach on the market, and the Bears ended up landing him within the division. But it's clear, as great as the offense can be with his leadership, it's clear that the offense will not go anywhere if they cannot protect their quarterback. Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times last year. 68 times their rookie quarterback was sacked. So it is clear that the Bears are going to continue to add strength and size up front on the offensive line. Yes, I know they addressed some of that this offseason, but they're going to need to continue to do so in the draft. They've got a lot of offensive line talent in this draft this year, can pretty much have their pick at anyone they want or close to it with the 10th overall pick. I really believe they're going to have to go offensive line here. If they don't, if for some reason they choose not to, you could argue they go edge rusher. But to me, the edge rushing class, the defensive line class is so deep this year that the Bears could still get someone for great value later on in the first round. They want to trade back or trade back in, maybe even the second round on day 2. But get your quarterback some help, not weapon-wise, but protection-wise. That needs to be the priority for Chicago. The Packers, number 23. They have the number 23 overall pick. They've got to draft a wide receiver. And, we say that every year almost. Back then, let's get Aaron Rodgers some help. Now let's get Jordan Love some help. And the Packers are like, nah, we're good, man. We're going to stick with the guys we have. They haven't drafted a first-round wide receiver since 2002. Since 2002, they have not drafted a first-round wide receiver. And I don't know if this is going to be the year either. The wide receiver class is decent. It's not fantastic. The 2 top guys, Travis Hunter and Tetairoa McMillan, are both going to be gone by number 23. So it's interesting to see what the Packers do here. It's clear they need a wide receiver. That's the biggest draft need in my opinion, because this is a team that we watched towards the end of last year, especially in their playoff game against the Eagles. Their wide receivers were dropping like flies. They couldn't stay healthy. So if that happens again, you've got to make sure Jordan Love has some depth and some extra talent. Yes, they signed Mecole Hardman. I get that, but that's not going to guy that's going to move the needle that much. So go out and find yourself a wide receiver in the first round, maybe someone for some unexpected value. I know a lot of guys are getting high on Jaden Higgins. Could be somebody. Maybe not first round, but later on. I don't know. The bottom line is some of the top wide receivers are going to be gone before pick 23. So if you're the Packers and you have your eyes on somebody and you're going to make history drafting your first round wide receiver in, 23 years, you might need to consider trading up for it. Or making some sort of moves to ensure that you get your quarterback some help. The Packers are a dang good football team. 2 years ago, should have been in the NFC Championship game. Last year, snuck into the playoffs in a very tough NFC and lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions. Nothing to hang your head on there. But once again, they have a Super Bowl window. They've got to find a way to act on it. The Vikings are number 24, right after the Packers. And it seems they're going all in on J.J. McCarthy, right? That, was rumors going around that Aaron Rodgers could end up going down the Brett Favre path and going from the Packers to the Jets to the Vikings. The Vikings said, no, we're good. We're going to go all in on our, not rookie anymore, but was a rookie last year, didn't really play, going all in on the young quarterback. And he's got potential and he's got help. The wide receiver core is actually pretty solid in Minnesota, and they have one of the best wide receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson. But the defense is what needs the most help. The defense needs the help. They are pretty thin at cornerback right now. Only one of the Vikings' top 4 cornerbacks from last year has re-signed with the teams. The defensive line is getting older or is on a contract year. So if you're Minnesota, I'm focusing more on the secondary in round 1. Later on, bulking up that defensive line with some young talent, and then maybe adding a few minor offensive pieces later on. But right now, defense, once again, going to be the priority for Minnesota. And then the Lions. At number 28, a heartbreaking ending to what was otherwise a phenomenal year for Detroit, getting the top seed in the NFC, welcomed in the Commanders at home, and then lost that game. So a year where many thought this could be the year the Lions finally make the Super Bowl, they fell short in the divisional round. But a lot of that you can attribute to injuries. I mean, not saying that's why they lost that game, not saying anything like that, but the Lions were banged up significantly down the stretch last year. We're very, very thin, especially on the defensive side. And when you face such a good offense as they did in Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, they just got torched. They just absolutely got torched. I'm not saying if they had been fully healthy, they would have won that game, but you could argue they could have. Aiden Hutchinson was hurt. They had a lot of guys in the secondary banged up. So if you're the Lions, you've got to go defense. The offense is there. Yes, you lose Ben Johnson, that hurts, but all your other playmakers are still essentially there. But if Aiden Hutchinson were to go down again, if someone in your secondary were to go down again, you need someone to come in and fill that void. They don't have Zadarius Smith anymore. They don't really have someone that great on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson right now. So maybe you go edge rusher. Get a guy like JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. How interesting would that be to have the Michigan guy on one end and the Ohio State guy on the other end? Put your differences aside for the greater good of Detroit. You've got to find a way to get your defense some more help and really more depth, because the Lions have, again, that talent. They've got all that talent there. Losing their coordinators hurts, and they're going to have to find a way to replenish that, but the talent's there, but you've got to have depth in the event that you run into a situation that they did at the end of last year. So, those are the North and the South divisions over in the NFC. We'll have the East and the West coming your way very, very soon, but leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let us know who you think these teams need to draft. What are their biggest draft needs? Who do you want them to draft when it's all said and done? Again, we'll have coverage and predictions for those next week. Again, draft coverage going on for 2 weeks here at the channel. But until then, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com. That's home to the expert picks, home to our newsletters, home to tons of exclusive content to help you get through this offseason. And we want you to take advantage of it. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.